And at this point, we have public comment, and I've received no cards. The clerk has no cards.
I did not have any cards, but
Okay.
I'd like to reestablish a quorum.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Matt
Please.
Conant. Here. Nick Aptis.
Here.
Tom Barandis.
Here.
Brian Holloway. Here. Cyril Shaw.
Here.
Angelique Ashby.
Here.
Jeff Harris.
Here.
Rick Jennings.
Here.
Sue Frost. Here. Don Natoli.
Here.
Susan Peters. Patrick Kennedy.
Here.
Bill Cerna. All accounted for. And next we will have a report out on closed session. Government Code Section 54956 two potential cases. On case number 1.
No action taken, information only.
Thank you. And case 2.
No action taken, information only.
Thank you. Next up, we would have the Executive Director's Report for February 16th, 2017.
Okay, good afternoon. Just have a couple items. I got to get used to, been used to the city remote. It's a little different here. So a couple things I wanted to point out. The Corps did award their first construction contract for Natomas, $20.46 million that went to Kiewit. Reach I, so that's on the lower end, the area next to the American River. And construction is scheduled to begin either late April or May timeframe. However, I do want to make you aware that we understand there is probably likely be a protest. It was not a low bid, it was a best value, and so under that there's a lot of other considerations that are given. And problem with the protest is it goes to another agency to review, and they have 100 days to do it, and generally they take that. So it could delay starting from April, May to more like the August timeframe. So they have till February 21st to file a protest. So wanted to make you aware of that there.
Director Stern has a question.
Sure.
So 2 questions, Rick.
Is the stretch literally from I-5 to where the beginning of stretch H is on the East Main Drain there?
It's actually a little past I-5. It's where the Sacramento River and American come together over to.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so you mentioned that the protest could cause a delay. Well, is this the standard April to October construction season we're talking about?
It is. So if it delays, then we'll have to break it into 2 seasons there.
Okay. What's going on in terms of outreach for the area?
The Corps has an outreach plan that they're working on. I think they're waiting to see what happens to the protest to notify folks on. The big one for most will be the Garden Highway closure, and they don't know whether now that's going to start in May or in August. So I think they'll wait to see if they do get the protest or not. I do know that they met with Director Harris and some of the city on the
well, certainly
detour.
the residents there are in the City of Sacramento.
Right.
However, Discovery Park, which is the jurisdiction of the county, often hosts a number of events that are accessible by Garden Highway into Discovery Park. So knowing what the schedule may or may not do is important to my office. So if you can please make sure that we're kept apprised of both what's going on in terms of schedule, but also outreach. I'd like to be part of those discussions, especially on the outreach side.
Well, I'll make sure the Corps gets a hold of your office.
Thank you.
On that. Okay, thanks.
Director Harris.
Thank you, Chair. Director Stern and I did meet with 3 members of the Corps and our city traffic engineer to discuss outreach. It is definitely pending, obviously, the bid protest, as that might put it out 100 days. So as soon as they know about the bid protest, assuming it doesn't get protested, then we can talk actual dates. But I do have tentative dates. I have maps. I can share a lot of information with you if you care to.
Oh, absolutely. I'd like to see that and appreciate the invitation to participate. But you know, everyone should know that while we do have 2 points of access into Discovery Park, the other being the Javoom Street Bridge, there's a load capacity on that bridge, and depending on what event might be going on in that part of the park, it might be prohibitive.
Okay, that's a good point. So we'll circle back with the Corps.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Director Abdus.
Rick, is there any possibility that Kiewit would proceed with construction even under a bid protest? Is there such a possibility?
The Corps would have to tell them that it's at their own risk if they do, because they awarded the contract, but they haven't given them notice to proceed. So anything they do before the notice to proceed, they may or may not get paid for that. So Kiewit would have to make a decision how much they want to proceed on that.
So do you think it's unlikely that would happen then?
I wouldn't do it if I was Kiewit.
Director Harris.
Yeah, just one more point of information. We let out a contract last year for the removal of some vegetation in preparation for this contract, and they've commenced cutting some trees on the first stretch, which is actually, in city terms, in District 4, just to the west of I-5, and they anticipate cutting the rest of the trees in the construction footprint being completed by March, according to the Army Corps. It's important to get that done now, because even with the bid protest, we don't want to get into problems with the Migratory Bird Treaty Act and deal with nesting. So that is progressing.
And thank you. I assume that those tree cuttings are all on the north side?
They're all on the north side.
Versus the Steelhead Creek side?
Yeah, they're all in the levee footprint, so most of them are on the top, but there is a little work that's going to be done on the water side that will take
Again, that's the jurisdiction of the county, so I'd like to see that, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Again, I have maps, the whole construction set I can show you.
Good.
Proceed.
Okay, thank you. So Pete gave me this earlier. I thought you might find it interesting. The blue is what an average water year looks like. The green lines show the wettest year we've had, and then the dark blue shows where we are so far this year. So far this year, we're trending toward the wettest year since they've been keeping records, well above average. And then this one shows, it's actually a little wet. The snow, water content in the snow actually is a little higher in the south. It drops down as it moves north, so that's a little different than we usually see on those. But yeah, as we all know, it's a pretty wet year so far. Earlier in the week, I sent out some information on there's a situation at the county pump station at Manlove. It's just upstream from Watt Avenue on the south side. And what had happened, the picture on the upper left there shows we had a sinkhole developing, and so the county and American River Flood Control District worked very well together. They found a hole that was in one of the pipes in the county discharge pipe, and so it was pulling material, and that was patched yesterday, and they've reconstructed it. And then this morning, American River Flood Control District went out and tarped it and put some sandbags around it so that to keep any more moisture getting on it. And then we'll monitor it the rest of the season, but that repair has been done. And Flood Control District, American River, and the county worked very well together on that one, so wanted to make you aware of that. I've been asked a lot with everything going on Oroville where SAFCA fits in on when we have these operations. So I just put this up here just real quick. SAFCA is responsible for the capital improvements. So the cities and the counties are the floodplain managers, and they also do the emergency operations centers. And then the levee maintaining agencies do the levee patrolling and any flood fighting. So on the next one, this shows a map in our area of the agencies that work on each of the different areas. So Reclamation District 1000 does the maintenance, flood fighting, and patrolling around Natomas. American River Flood Control District does on American River and some of the north areas. You'll see a couple of little areas that say SAFCA. Those are levees that have been brought into the project, and we are responsible for the cost, but we have contracted those with American River Flood Control District. So I actually do the physical work. The city does the South Sacramento Streams group and part of the Sacramento River south of the American River, and then the state maintenance area 9 does the rest. So when they are out doing the levee patrols, they call in any problems up above, and there's a coordination now. We're actually, Sacramento's protected by a whole system, and this goes way up above this map up to Shasta. Whole bunch of reservoirs and rivers and everything that flow together that have to be coordinated in their operations so that nothing gets overwhelmed in the system. So we have the state and federal flood operations center. It's located over at Watt and El Camino. It's by that Sam's Club over there in the old Liberty House department store building. And it has actually physically located both federal and state agencies there together. This is where the LMAs call in information, and they jointly work together on making, and they have the weather service there with them, so they jointly work together in making decisions as to, releases to make to balance the system with the different reservoirs. If an LMA is having a flood fight going on, they try to reduce the flows in that area. So there's that type of coordination. And then when an emergency is declared, such as occurred at Oroville, at all the different levels, they open emergency operations centers, and they're all tied together. Like this is a picture of the cities, one right now, but the Sac counties, the City of Sacramento and Sutter County all their offices of emergency services all open, the emergency operations center. They're all tied in with the state and the regional ones, so they're all passing information and seeing the same information back and forth. SAFCA's not directly in any of those, but we do offer resources to help as needed, but we're not actually sitting in there or receiving the information full time. So I was asked that a number of times over this last few days, so I just wanted to add that to it. So that's all I have, unless there's any questions.
Me. I wondered if you would give us a minute or two on your thoughts on the Orville Dam emergency spillway. And I wanted to say, I was out at Folsom Lake on Sunday, and I got to see our spillway, and I felt like,
yes,
awesome. It was. Is that just a difference in what was done in engineering in those days?
Well, I think what we saw, the original cause with the failure is infrastructure gets dated, and we don't put anywhere near enough resources into upgrading it. And so we saw the failure there. Concrete fails under, as we know, as we drive along the freeways and roads. And it's difficult sometimes to always see it from just visual inspections. And we usually don't have put enough money into doing more detailed type of inspections. So, as far, that was the design at the time. To be honest with you, on the emergency spillway that started eroding, that design is in dams all across the country. So it'll be interesting to see as a nation how we react to that, because the emergency spillway, when they had to go to it after the main spillway failed, didn't perform as intended. And so there's going to have to be a look at that all across the country to see if we need to do other things too, which again comes at a time where, you know, resources are strapped, and I get a little concerned at our level that the funding we need to continue moving our projects forward is going to end up competing with some of these other things too. So
do you think that they'll cover the second spillway, the dirt spillway? Will that be covered with riprap? Are they going to put concrete on it, or
well,
what do you think?
What was happening on that is, as the water was eroding over, it started cutting back under the concrete lip, and they were afraid if it went all the way under that it would collapse that spillway and then start eroding underneath. They're putting revetment and concrete in now to get through this season, but long term they're going to have to look at how far down they need to armor that so that it can't happen again. And then they're going to have to rebuild. The other spillway is pretty much destroyed, so that's going to be a challenge over the next couple of years to figure out how you're going to rebuild that and still have it operational in the winter times if we have other wet years. So there's no doubt it's a challenge, and they're going to need a lot of funding, so we're going to have to try real hard, that it doesn't affect us.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Chair. Rick, on the JFP&R auxiliary spillway, when last we spoke, you had mentioned there was an issue with one of the gates, and so they were reluctant to put the spillway into use this season, but I think you also indicated that in an emergency they could. Is there any update on the repair of that gate and whether or not they might put the auxiliary spillway into use if needed?
Yeah, I mean, if we absolutely had to, we could. Now, there's a whole number of contractual closeout issues, warranty issues that they're going through. As soon as we use it, we've bought all those, and so unless we absolutely hit a point where it looks like, you know, it's going to be absolutely needed, I think everyone would rather they do everything to get that thing fixed up so that we end up with a good product to start with there.
Thank you.
Director Cerna.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to say thanks to Rick publicly. I don't know about the other directors. I know Director Ashby's phone also blew up on Sunday with the constant media coverage of the circumstances up in Oroville, and so I think rightfully people were concerned in all parts of the city and county of Sacramento and leaned on their local electeds to inform them. But of course, we don't know everything all the time right at the current moment of a crisis. So thanks to Rick and others that were taking phone calls on a Sunday evening so that we can get the word out via social media and other conversations with other electeds and our constituents.
Thank you.
Director Ashby.
Thank you, Chair Kennedy. Yeah, I want to echo those comments. I know you put up a map showing all the ways that it's not our responsibility, but you were my first call, and you would be again if it happened next time. And my community, Phil and Nick and I were really worried, scared. And I appreciate you and people like you that were able to give Phil and I a master's class in about 20 minutes on what was happening at Oroville and how that would impact us, and I think that we were then able to turn that into something that was somewhat reassuring to folks in our communities. And I wanted to publicly thank you, Phil, because I reached out to him and said, there's no update on anything, but I don't want to step out by myself. Will you step out with me? And he said yes. And I mean, both of us, our media, it was just crazy because we were the only ones to say anything, but something had to be said, and I didn't feel comfortable until I talked to you, and I had him to step with me. So I really appreciate that, and I think it made a really big difference for the people in my community. So thank you for that, and thank you, Phil.
Yeah, likewise, I want to thank Director Ashby. I literally had a phone call from a constituent that had bought, I think, 6 gallons of water at the local Rayleigh's right after I talked to Director Ashby. So that's the level of concern that was present in Thomas, at least.
Yeah.
Better than a...
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Any other questions? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next item is consent matters, and items 2 through 5 are in order.
Is there a motion or any questions? Sorry. Moved by Director Harris, seconded by Director Holloway. I believe Director Abdus' question?
No, I seconded. I didn't hear Brian.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? We have no separate matters on the agenda, and everything else is receive and file. So with that, we are adjourned.